That was the first time I ever heard a local politician describe for the people attending that little presser what was really going on.
We know that we're dealing with gang violence and crew violence.
This story is about two 17-year-old young men who were shot in the Bronx. They were shot at the Burke Avenue subway station. There was an argument on the train and it spilled out onto the platform. Shots rang out. These two were hit. One died, one was injured seriously. And not much other information was available. Actually, not even that amount of information was available on Monday night when this happened. So this was a presser that they were giving on Tuesday morning outside the courthouse up on the Grand Concourse in the Bronx to give us some more information. So a lot of outlets sent somebody to get some more information on the story to find out exactly what happened.
We have seen far too many acts of violence.
They weren't giving us specific information, which, again, this is nothing new, especially when you're talking about preliminary parts of an investigation. So what that presser really was about was Richard Davey, the president of New York City Transit, was literally coming out and just saying, we have this many cameras at that station.
There were 12 cameras at the station. All were working at the time of the incident. We turned over significant footage to the police.
That was basically the facts. That was all the facts that were going to be given out. Because all the questions I asked, can you describe the gunmen? Were there multiple gunmen? You know, anything, any piece of information. And they wouldn't tell us anything. They were like, no, we're going to let the police handle the information that's given out on this investigation.
As we do, we'll fully cooperate. But I know as of this morning, we turned over significant evidence.
And to all of our surprise, the borough president kind of went off script and actually told us what was going on. Her script was all about labeling this incident as gun violence and then trying to make a connection to a national epidemic of gun violence. That was the narrative that she was expounding on.
We've seen far too much gun violence in this country. This is a national crisis with gun violence.
I haven't heard any politician in New York City talking about gang violence, especially not in the last 5 years. I mean, not at the pressers I'm covering. So when she labeled this as gang violence, even in the midst of her speech on, the epidemic of gun violence that is causing all of this, it got my attention.
We know that we're dealing with gang violence and crew violence.
She even went one step further and described what crew violence was.
In this particular area, we have crew violence that's been happening in parts of Allerton, out of Gun Hill houses, Eastchester Gardens. I mean, this is nothing new.
That basically in the Bronx, you have what's called crew violence, where you have different chapters of different gangs that live in different housing projects on different blocks, fighting with each other, and people get caught in the crossfire. She was explaining to us that that's exactly what this was. We were all shocked because what we were used to hearing and what we started hearing when we got there was that this was part of the national epidemic of gun violence, and that this is all due to the fact that there are way too many illegal guns in New York City. I mean, we've heard that speech over and over before. She actually described for the people attending that little presser the reality, and we were all just kind of blown away. An arrest has been made. The suspect is not yet 18. I guess that kind of makes sense with the New York City Transit president's reluctance to share any of the details that were included in that video that he turned over to the police. Because if you watch the videos, you could probably tell that the individual involved was a kid. So that's probably why they were holding back giving any information at that presser. Because they figured that when he was arrested, it wasn't going to be a situation where they were going to be telling anyone his name or where he lived or anything like that. So if you want to follow along as we cover news stories for the New York Post, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you.